I want to tell you about a boy, 17 years old, living with his family in Takoradi, a city in Ghana, sleeping in his own bed one Tuesday night, and gone by morning. Not dead, his body was never found. There was no accident, no sign of struggle. His shoes were still at the door. His phone was still on his bedside table. He was simply gone. And then 7 years later, he walked back through the front door. But the people who loved him, the mother who had set his place at the dinner table every single night, hoping he would come back, they quickly realized that the boy who came back through that door was not the same boy who had left. Stay with me today. I am going to tell you everything. The second story begins in Ghana, precisely Takoradi, a quiet neighborhood, a family, a mother, a father, and their son. He was 17 years old. We will call him Kevin. Now, as you may know, there is a certain kind of boy that every mother prays for, the kind that helps without being asked, the kind that still has time for his family, even when his friends are calling him outside. Kelvin was that boy. He was in his final year of secondary school. He helped his mother cook on weekends. He was not perfect. He had a temper. He was stubborn the way young men are stubborn. But at his core, he was good, fundamentally good. His mother used to say, and she said this to anyone who would listen, that boy has something special inside him. She had no idea how right she was. On a Tuesday night in October 16th, 2012, Kevin said good night and went to his room. By 4 in the morning, his mother woke up with a feeling she could not explain. As many of us may have experienced, that feeling when something in your body knows something is wrong before your mind catches up. She walked to his room and opened the door. His bed was empty, windows closed, door had been closed. No sign of struggle. His shoes still by the door. His phone still on the table beside his bed. Kevin was gone. The family reported him missing immediately. The police came and went. Neighbors searched. The church prayed. His mother walked those streets calling his name until her voice was raw. Weeks became months. Months became years. And as much as his father tried to hold the family together, as much as his mother tried to keep hope alive, imagine living in a house where someone is missing but not confirmed dead, where you cannot grieve fully because maybe they are still out there. His mother refused to pack away his room. For 7 years, his room stayed exactly as he had left it. His father aged 10 years in 2. His younger sister grew up watching her mother set a plate at the dinner table every evening for a boy who was not there. Put yourself in that family. 7 years of not knowing. 7 years of praying for an answer. Any answer, even the one you are most afraid of. And where was Kevin? This is where I want you to listen very carefully, because what he described does not follow the logic of the world that any of us live in. He said when he closed his eyes that Tuesday night, He felt something change in the air of his room, like pressure dropping suddenly, like the world tilting on an angle that was just wrong. He opened his eyes and he was no longer in his room. He was in a place he could not name, not a forest, not a city, something in between. Structures that look almost like building, but were not quite right. Light that came from no direction you could point to. Things that looked almost like people moving around him, but not acknowledging him. And then a voice. Not a voice he heard with his ears. A voice he felt in his chest. Deep and slow, like a drum being struck somewhere underground. It told him he had been chosen. It did not ask. It did not give him a choice. And then his life in that place began. Now, as many of us will not know what it feels like to be in a situation where you have absolutely no power and no choice. Kevin tried to resist at first, as you may have expected. He fought it. But the consequences of his resistance were not physical pain. They were worse than pain. They showed him his family. They let him see his mother at that dinner table with his empty plate. They let him hear her praying at night, calling his name, and they watched his face while he watched her. That was how they kept him. He was there for what felt to him like few moments or hours, but in reality, he was gone for 7 years. Time moved differently in that place. He was taught things, shown things. He was sent to do things in this world. Things he would not fully describe even now. That happened here while his body was somewhere none of us could see. He does not know why they let him go. He has thought about this every single day since it happened, and he has no answer, no explanation. One moment he was there, and then the voice came one final time and said a single word, "Go." He opened his eyes and he was standing in the streets outside his family's house. It was morning. His feet were bare. He wasn't wearing the same clothes he had disappeared in 7 years earlier. He had left as a boy of 17. He was now standing in a man's body. He stood outside that gate for a long time before he knocked. Imagine trying to find the words. Imagine trying to prepare yourself for that door opening, for whatever face appears on the other side. His mother opened the door. She did not scream. She did not cry immediately. She simply stared at him for a very long time. And then she grabbed him with both arms and held on like she was afraid he would disappear again. His father wept in a way he had never seen a grown man weep in his life. His sister, who had been 10 years old when she left and was now 17, stood in the doorway and did not recognize him at first. But I need you to understand something. The reunion, as beautiful and as long awaited as it sounds, was not the end of this story. It was the beginning of the hardest part. Kevin was not the same man. He knew it immediately. And as much as his family tried to celebrate, as much as they wanted to simply have their son and brother back and ask no questions, they slowly, painfully came to know it too. It started small. He would say things he could not possibly have known. His mother would be thinking something, not saying it out loud, just thinking it quietly, and Kevin would answer the thought before she opened her mouth. His father would make a decision in his head, and Kevin would respond it before a single word was spoken. As you can see, This was not a boy who had simply been lost and found. Something had come back inside him that was not there before, and the suffering began. His father's business, which had survived and provided for that family for 15 years, began collapsing within months of Kevin's return. His sister began failing in school, despite never having struggled academically before. And Kevin knew exactly what was happening. He knew because he had been on the other side of it. He had been the one sent to do this to other families. Now it was being done to his own. He said, "They sent me back as a door, not just as a person, as an opening, and everything that had access to me still had access through me to everyone around me." His father threw him out of the house. And as much as that sounds harsh, put yourself in that father's position. The son you prayed for 7 years comes back and your entire life begins to fall apart around him. What would you do? Two stories, two countries, two completely different lives, but connected by one thread. Both of these people crossed a boundary that was never meant to be crossed. One crossed it by choice, driven by fear, by pride, by the desperate need to remain relevant and powerful. One crossed it without ever choosing, taken before he was old enough to know how to protect himself. And both of them, in their own way, are still living with what that crossing cost them. If you have stayed with me until this moment, thank you. I do not share these stories lightly. If this moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you have your own story, your own confession, the WhatsApp number to contact us are on your screen and also in the description box.